بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers, my sisters in Islam, welcome to our final session on Surah Yasin as we complete this very powerful, amazing surah about the validity of the messengership of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the truthfulness of the hereafter, and about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His ability to resurrect everything and His right to be the only one worthy of worship. Today we have with us the final 2 pages of Surah Yasin, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off the beginning of the last 2 pages by talking about Ashabul Jannah, or the people of Jannah, and what they will be busy doing. This surah does not talk much about Jannah at all. It's only a very small portion about which is about Jannah. The surah is more about warning those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the terrible torment that will come to them and the punishment that will come to them. And the story, of course, of Habib bin Musa al-Najjar. But about 4 verses or so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk about the blessings of the people of Jannah, what they will be busy doing, what their occupation will be. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves on to talking about, has the evidence not been presented to human beings to not worship shaitan and not to follow shaitan and his schemes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will spend a few verses talking about how human beings should have realized by now that every single time shaitan misleads people and Allah destroys them, that this should have been enough evidence for human beings to realize that shayateen and shaitan and their schemings and their plots are all very mistaken. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns people against following shaitan, and then thereafter moves on to talking about the day of judgment, and on the day of judgment how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a seal on the mouths, meaning that will not allow mujrimeen to speak, but will allow their hands, their skin, their faces, their eyes, their ears, all of these things to speak. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give an ability to our body parts to speak up on that day and to witness against us the same body parts that we sinned with in this dunya. In fact, the Quran mentions 7 different types of witnesses that will witness against us on the day of judgment, which I will mention inshallah ta'ala. The 7 witnesses that we have to prepare for. And if we can prepare, as you know, before an inquisition, you know which witnesses are going to witness against you. So you prepare your alibi against your 7 witnesses or 8 or 10 or 15 witnesses that are going to witness against you. You know what they're going to say. You already know what they're going to say, so therefore you prepare your alibi for them right now. And if we know what witnesses are going to witness against us, then for us is to now prepare against the witness of these witnesses. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards the final page of Surah Yasin, will talk about the different blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given us. The multitude of blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, from giving us age, from giving us wealth, from giving us health, and how human beings misuse and abuse these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and use it against worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will also talk about how the mushrikeen love their idols as Allah should be loved. And not only that, these mushrikeen, they love their idols and actually prepare to kill themselves for their idols. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the absolute sacrifice the mushrikeen have, or the total sacrifice that they are willing to do for the sake of their idols, which subhanallah is a great musibah, because had they only done this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would have been a very different place. Finally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finishes off this beautiful surah by talking about the one who has created all of these things, who has created heavens and the earth. Why do you think it is impossible for Him to recreate human beings? Well, we are no way as complicated, as difficult, as sophisticated as the heavens and the earth. So if Allah has created heavens and the earth and you acknowledge that, why is it that you cannot acknowledge that Allah will recreate you and bring you back to life again after your death? So glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has control over all things, and to Him is our return. Let's take these last 2 pages inshallah. Powerful surah, very, very strong verses, each one of them, and they hit you very directly. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan ar-Rajim. Inna ashab al-jannati al-yawma fi shughulin fakihun. Inna, verily, ashab al-jannah, the people of Jannah, companions of Jannah, Al-yawm, today, meaning on the day of judgment, fi shughulin, will be in a very important affair, meaning they're busy. Don't trouble them. Don't trouble them by asking them, calling out to them. So some of the scholars mentioned that this statement will be said to the people of the fire, because the people from the fire will be calling out to people of Jannah all the time. Oh, so and so, oh Ahmed, oh Firdaus, oh so and so. Can you please ask Allah for this? Oh, can you please ask Allah to stop this? Oh, can you ask Allah to kill us? Can you ask Allah to not punish us anymore, decrease the punishment even one day from the adab, etc. They'll be constantly speaking to them. So the response to them will be, Inna ashab al-jannat al-yawma fi shughulin fakihun. Today the people of Jannah, they're busy. Don't bother them. Okay? They're busy in their own enjoyment. So they haven't got time for you to waste by replying to you and responding to you. Subhanallah. Fi shughulin fakihun, meaning they are very overtaken by their busyness. They're so busy enjoying themselves, they've got no time for you, O ashab al-shimal. Hum wa azwajuhum, they and their wives, fi dhilalin, are under dhilal. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he talks about the day when the believers will meet their wives and their spouses, who will be their soulmates forever in eternity. And he talks about how, imagine a man who's been lost in the seas for many years, and his family has almost lost all hope of his return, and thinks that he has no chance of coming back to him. Suddenly this man one day rocks up, okay, one day comes back home, and then imagine the way his wife will behave, imagine the way his children will behave, the utter disbelief, the utter enjoyment, the utter happiness, the first embrace. This is exactly how your wives in Jannah will behave on the day you come to them. Right? This is the way your wives in Jannah will behave, and your companions in Jannah will behave on the day that you come to them. This utter amazement, utter happiness, utter enjoyment. This is what Allah is talking about. Inna ashab al-jannati al-yawma fi shughulin fakihun. Verily the people of Jannah, they're very busy today, don't bother them. Hum wa azwajuhum, they and their wives, fi dhilalin, are in the shade, ala al-ara'ik, upon couches, muttaki'un, reclining. They're reclining on amazing, beautiful couches made of light, they and their wives. Meaning that their wives that they missed for so long, and they are their soulmates and companions for an eternity in Jannah, will be reclining on these beautiful couches in shades. Shade from what? Shade from the light of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no light from sun over there, there's only the light from the throne of Allah azza wa jal there. Lahum fiha fakihatun wa lahum ma yadda'un. For them is every type of fruit, and for them is whatever they ask for. You know, before coming to Malaysia, I thought there was only water or Pepsi or milk. I never thought there were all these amazing juices. Then you come to Malaysia and you discover all these amazing fruits and amazing juices. Then you realize the power of this verse. It's true. Lahum fiha fakihatun. For them is the most amazing types of fruits. وَلَهُمْ مَا يَدَّعُونَ. And for them is whatever they ask for. Salamun qawlam min rabbir rahim. Salam, meaning a statement that will be said to them whenever they look up, whenever they ask for something, it will be peace on you, peace. Meaning, peace, what does salam mean? Salam is the absence of difficulty. Okay, salam, which is peace, is the absence of difficulty, absence of hardship, absence of war, absence of struggle, absence of disease. So salam means peace, but actually it means perfect life. Okay, because you can't be totally at peace unless you have perfect life, right? So if you are disease-free and you have no pain in your body, then you are at peace in your body. If you have no mental worries and your relationship with your family is perfect and your relationship with Allah is perfect, then you have perfect peace in your heart. Right? So, did you understand what I'm trying to say? Peace means perfection of that particular life. So, salamun qawlan min rabbir rahim. Peace as a statement that will be said from the Rabb, from the Allah, Rahim, the most merciful Rabb. And one of the points of benefit over here, ikhwati, is Allah Azza wa Jalla says Rabbin Rahim, the Rabb that is merciful. He didn't say Rahman because because it is only for believers. And Ar-Rahim refers to the name of Allah Azza wa Jalla about mercy only to believers. Whereas Rahman can mean mercy both to believers and non-believers as well. both to animate and inanimate objects. But Ar-Rahim is mercy only to believers. And ikhwati, mercy of Allah Azza wa Jalla to the believers is amazing. In the authentic hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, had the people known how much is the mercy of Allah, even the disbelievers will never despair. If the people only knew how much is the mercy of Allah, even the disbelievers won't despair. In another authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has divided His mercy into 100 parts. Only one part He sent to this dunya, 99 parts is for the believer on the Day of Judgment. Is for the believer on the Day of Judgment. Can you imagine how much mercy Allah has? Also in the Quran, Allah says to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَنَبِّعْ عِبَادِ أَنِّي أَنَا الْغَفُورُ رَحِيمُ, and tell my slaves that indeed I am the Ghafoor and the Rahim. And another verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, where He says to the believers, وَعَرِّفْهُمْ, and tell them, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has great fadl on the believers. وَأَنَّ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ فَضْلًا كَبِيرًا, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has great blessings and fadl. The scholars of Tafseer said about this verse about فَضْلًا كَبِيرًا وَأَنَّ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِأَنَّ لَهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ فَضْلًا كَبِيرًا, that's the verse. وَبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and give glad tidings to the believers. بِأَنَّ لَهُمْ, that from them with Allah is فَضْلًا كَبِيرًا, is a great fadl. The scholars of Tafseer said about this verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for the believers a level of mercy that will totally, completely overawe them and completely amaze and surprise them. In one authentic narration, which is in Sahih Muslim, it is reported that the last person who will go to Jannah will be brought out of Jahannam, and he will be cured from his ailments and sins and the burnt that he had received in Jahannam. And when he is about to go into Jannah, Allah will give him the dunya and everything that is in it. So then Allah will say, shall I increase you more? And so the man will say, oh Allah, yes. And so Allah will say, for you is what you have received, and 10 times like it. Meaning 10 times of this dunya for the person who is the last person to enter Jannah. Then the man will say, oh Allah, are you mocking me? So at that point, the man will, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will laugh, and He will say, for you is another 10 times more. Okay? Meaning 100 times what is in this dunya. Now, ikhwati, you know, dunya has so many things we haven't seen, right? I mean, dunya has so many things we haven't seen. And the other day I went to Cape Town. I was in South Africa, Cape Town. Went to this mountain called Tabletop Mountain. And I saw the most amazing sceneries in Cape Town. And I understood why, you know, the whites will never ever leave Africa. You know why? They won't leave the Africa to the blacks, because it's too beautiful. You know, Cape Town is just too beautiful. And then you go to some of the other places like Amazon, and you go to, you know, France, and you go to some of the places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed with some amazing beauty. And you really realize, wallahi, we don't know of the beauty of this dunya even, to even appreciate and imagine how much 100 times more beauty of this dunya will look like for the last person who will enter Jannah. طيب. لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون. For them is every type of fruit and what they ask for. سلام قولا من رب الرحيم. Peace as a statement from the Lord that is most merciful. وَامْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Wamtaz meaning, imtiaz means to stand out. So stand out all you mujrimun, all you wrongdoers today. Meaning stand out today, you're going to be discovered. So the scholars of Tafseer said, this means that the Jews will be grouped with the Jews, the Christians will be grouped with the Christians, the fire worshippers will be grouped with the fire worshippers, and then they'll all be dealt with on their own. They'll be dealt with and punished as they deserve to be on their own, because Allah Azza wa Jal will put them into groups. This is why, ikhwani, my brothers and sisters in Islam, it's very important to be with the believers. It's very important to live with the believers. It's very important to die with the believers. It's very important, because you'll be raised up with the people that you love. Today, our youth, they don't love Muslimin. They don't, for example, have idols as Muslims. Their idols are not Umar and Abu Bakr and others. Their idols are pop musicians. And so it's a fear. The fear is because Allah Azza wa Jalla says you'll be raised up with the people that you love. So if they love them, then the real danger is they'll be raised up with them. So the real battle today is a battle for the hearts and minds. The real battle today is the intellectual war that we face today. It is not the war of the bullets and the guns. It is the battle for the hearts and minds of our future generation and our youth. So do everything possible, brothers and sisters, to keep them safeguarded from these evil tendencies, and to bring them towards the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make their idols those that they aspire to be with, Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman and others. In one authentic narration, it was reported that Anas bin Malik, and as you know, Anas bin Malik, you know who Anas was. Anas was the servant of the Prophet ﷺ, right? Anas bin Malik said that when the Prophet ﷺ said this statement, Al-mar'u ma'aman ahab, listen to what he said. He said, when Rasulullah ﷺ said this statement, that the believer is with the one that he loves, he said the Sahaba were never ever more happy than they were after hearing this hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ. So Anas, who is the reporter of this hadith, he says, so O Allah, so he makes a dua to Allah, and he says, O Allah, I know my actions are not to the level of the Prophet or that of his great companions. This is Anas saying it, right? O Allah, I know my actions are not to the level of the Prophet or the great companions. But, O Allah, I make you my witness that I love Rasulullah ﷺ, and that I love Abu Bakr, and that I love Umar, and that I love Uthman, and I love Ali, and I hope that you raise me up with them. Amazing, isn't it? So, ikhwati, we have to profess our love for the righteous people and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to raise us up with them. We have to profess our love for righteous people and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to raise us up with them. And if this is Anas making this dua as sahabi, then what about us who have more right to be making du'as like this, asking Allah Azza wa Jal to raise us up with the best of the people that He has created on this dunya. Alam ahad ilaykum. Alam, have we not? Meaning, which is the question of istifham. Lam, have we not? Ahad, have we not ordained upon you, ilaykum, to you, ya bani Adam, O children of Adam, O children of Adam, Allah ta'bud shaitan, that you should not worship shaitan. So have we not ordered you, O children of Adam, that you should not worship shaitan? Question is, are we really worshipping shaitan? Are we really worshipping shaitan? Well, you see, Ikhwati, I think everyone would say, no, we don't worship shaitan. We might listen to him, but don't worship him. The reality is, listening to him in something which he has ordered against the order of Allah is actually worship. So in fact, when the verse in the Quran was revealed that the Jews took their scholars as their gods other than Allah. So one of the Sahaba who was Jewish before, and he had accepted Islam, he stood up and said, but Ya Rasulullah, we never used to worship them. We never took our scholars as gods to worship them. So Rasulullah said, did you not listen to them when they made a halal haram and a haram halal? So they said, yes, we did. They said, well, that is your worship of them. Right? So therefore, ikhwati, when the shaitan makes a haram halal and a halal haram, right? So he says, for example, now, oh, alcohol, go and drink it. So you listen to the shaitan, you drink it. You've actually now, as if by your actions, made the alcohol halal for you. Correct? So here, actually, this is your worship of the shaitan. So ikhwani, obeying the shaitan in a matter in which Allah has given you an alternative ruling is worshipping shaitan over worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. Does that make sense? So this is very important. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal says this, Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adama, Allah ta'budu shaitan. That you should not worship shaitan, but we actually are by listening to him above the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Verily he is to you a manifest enemy. He is a clear enemy. Why are you worshipping this man? It makes no sense. Why are you worshipping this devil when he is a clear enemy to you and you know that? Ya Ikhwati, what is the problem with sins? The problem with sins is that to say that sins have no benefit is wrong. Sins do have some benefit. Okay? Let me explain before you jump on me. So what's Abu Yusuf saying? You see, sins do have some benefit. What benefit is there in drinking alcohol? Well, you quench your thirst for a few minutes. What's the benefit in zina? Well, a'udhu billah, you have a pleasure for a few minutes, right? What's the benefit of music? Well, you have enjoyment for a few minutes. Does that make sense? Excuse me. But the problem is this. The problem is the long-term benefits of sins are not there. Or in the longer term, the evil of the sin is far worse. Correct? And that is how believers should understand it. Sins, we should not be looking at them at the short-term benefit of it, rather the long-term curse of the sin. Does that make sense? Yeah? The long-term curse of the sin is what should stop us from sinning, not the short-term little bit of enjoyment that we get from it. That should make us think about, sin being beneficial. So ikhwani, this is how you understand it. If you completely think, oh, sins, no, there's absolutely no benefit in it, then you're going to end up thinking like, what, am I fooling myself? No, you got to realize that there might be some little benefit in it, but that benefit that you're talking about, the enjoyment that you're talking about, is short-lived. Yeah? It's short-lived. What will stay with you is the stigma, is the pain, is the torture, is the punishment, is the evil of it. Long after the punishment, or long after the enjoyment of the sin has gone away. Does that make sense, ikhwani? Right. ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني, and that you should worship only me. هذا صراط مستقيم. This is the straight path. This is the straight path. وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا. وَلَقَدْ, and he has indeed, أَضَلَّ, has misguided, minkum, from you, O human beings, jibillan, jibil is like a lot of people, jibillan kathira, so large groups of people he has misguided. Afalam takunu ta'qilun, so can you not therefore have logic and understand? Meaning, have you not seen how many groups of people from the Ad, Thamud, Lut, and the Fir'aun, etc., that he has misguided, shaitan has misguided? Afalam takunu ta'qilun, don't you have sense to see how Allah has destroyed them? Don't you see how when they were misguided, that they never had any good in this dunya or the akhirah? So why don't you have any sense? هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. This is the Jahannam that, oh, you disbelievers, were promised. تُوعَدُونَ إِصْلَوْهَا الْيَوْمَ. Enter this Jahannam, al-yawm, today, بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ, because of what you used to disbelieve in. Then the next verse is the powerful verse, where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, the witnesses that will witness against us. Al-yawma nakhtimu ala afwahihim. Today, al-yawm, nakhtim, khatam is to put a seal. Nakhtimu is to that we will put a seal ala afwahihim, on their faces, on their mouths. Wa tukallimuna aydihim, and their hands will speak. So our hands will speak on that day. Wa tashhadu arjuluhum, and our legs will also speak and witness. Bima kanu yaksibun, with what they used to do. So ikhwani, we know that our skin will speak, our ears will speak, our hands will speak, our legs will speak, our private parts will speak on that day. Except our mouth. Our mouth will not be allowed to speak, meaning against the witness of these things, because the mouth is lying, the mouth tends to lie. But everything else will witness on the day of judgment against us. So what are the witnesses on the day of judgment? 7 witnesses that the scholars have mentioned against us on the day of judgment. 7 witnesses. The first witness against us on the day of judgment are people and mankind. So the people around us will witness against us or for us. So therefore, ikhwani, it's very important to have good friends. Because if you have bad, evil friends, and these guys are in trouble, the only way, hey guys, have you noticed, by the way, when you might have seen these Hollywood or Bollywood movies. I hope you haven't, but you might have, just in case. So when you see these, when there's like a group of thugs, and then one of them gets nabbed by the police, right? And you say, hey man, if you want to survive, if you want to live, if you want to get off easy, now you got to dob on all your friends, right? Remember that? The snitch. You've got to dob on all your friends. So he thinks that the only way to save his own skin is to dob on his friends and to get them into trouble, correct? So what does he do? He dobs on his friends and he gets them in trouble, and so he escapes. So this is what every mujrim will do, because he thinks that if he does that on the day of judgment, if he dobs on his friends, witnesses against them on the Day of Judgment, he will actually escape. Okay? So every Muslim will behave like this on the Day of Judgment. They'll be dobbing against each other. So therefore, if your friends are evil people and you do evil things with your friends, then you're in trouble. Rather, you should be with good people, good friends. And that's why Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, one of the great scholars of Islam, listen to what he used to say. He used to say to his friends, who are other ulama and scholars, right? Who are his students in knowledge. Listen to what he used to say, subhanAllah, amazing wallahi. He used to say, oh my friends, if you go to Jannah, and when you go to Jannah and you don't see me there, then tell Allah, oh Allah, there used to be a friend of ours. Yeah? There used to be a friend of ours who used to fast with us and pray with us and speak about you with us. Oh Allah, where is he? Oh Allah, bring him to us. Subhanallah. Tayyib. It's very important. Yes, salam. It's very important to have good friends. It's very important. It's very important to surround yourself with these people, because at the very least, inshallah, these people will at least witness for you or ask Allah for you on the Day of Judgment. Al-yawma nakhtimu ala afwahihim. Right. So today we'll seal their mouths and the witnesses will speak. First witness are the people. So they will either witness for you or against you. The second witness are the angels. So these are the angels that will witness either for you or against you. And the proof of that is in Surah Qaf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about وَقَالَ قَرِينُهُ رَبَّنَا هَذَا مَا لَدَيَّ عَتِيدٌ. And his qareen, meaning his angel, will say, oh my Lord, this is every single thing that he has done in this dunya present in front of you. So this is the witnessing angels. It's number 2. Number 3 is the book itself. The book of deeds will witness either for us or against us. Yeah? And from the books is the Quran as well that will witness for us or against us. So the Quran will be a witness for us or against us. وَوُضِعَ الْكِتَابِ فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ مِمَّا فِيهِ وَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَتَنَا مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. And the book has been presented in front of them. And you will see the mujrimeen looking inside the book, and they will say, what is wrong with this book? There is no big thing or small thing I've done except that it is in it. And this is in Surah Kahf. And of course Allah says about the Quran, وَإِنَّهُ لَحَسْرَةٌ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. Meaning this Quran will be a witness against the kafirin. So the scholars of Tafseer said this verse means whoever the Quran witnesses for will survive on that day. And whoever the Quran does not witness for or witnesses against will be destroyed on the Day of Judgment. And this is in Surah Haqqah. So this is the third witness. The fourth witness, ikhwati, is the earth. So the earth on which we lived will witness for us or against us. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارُهَا. On that day the earth will speak about its tales. Right? يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. So the scholars of Tafseer said, meaning the earth, Allah will recreate the earth, and the earth will speak, oh Allah, whilst he was on this part of me, he did this sin. And whilst he was on that part of me, he did this sin. So the earth will witness upon which we sinned and did major sins. So this is the fourth witness. Is that right, guys? Fourth witness? Now, the fifth witness. The fifth witness will be our body parts. So this is our skin, our bones, our limbs, our legs, just like in this verse. الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَى أَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. The legs and the hands will all witness. This is number 5. Number 6, the Prophet ﷺ will witness. وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. And the Prophet will witness. Okay, وَكَيْفَ بِكَ إِذَا جِئْنَا بِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ مِّن شَهِيدٍ وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا. And how will it be when we bring a witness for every ummah, and we will bring you as a witness against them? So the Prophet ﷺ will be a witness either for us or against us. Meaning he will witness that, oh Allah, I gave them the message, but they disbelieved in it. Yeah? This is number 6. Number 7 is Allah himself. Because his name is Shaheed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the witness. So therefore you cannot hide. Yeah, Al-Latif, Al-Khabir. right? So as a result, he is the witness himself. So he is also the witness because he knows that which all other creation of his may not know. He knows what's in the heart, for example, which the angels might not know, for example. So Allah Azza wa Jal is the biggest of witnesses. Subhanallah. So that is the 7 witnesses, ikhwani. How do you protect yourself from these witnesses? Not possible. You can't. That's why if there is a sin you can do where the angels cannot see you, or the earth will not know about, your hands will not witness, or it will not be in your books of deeds, or people will not know about, or the Prophet will not witness against, or Allah will not know, then go ahead and do it. But if you cannot, then we know that subhanallah, there's no way to escape, no way to escape at all. Totally surrounded. Subhanallah. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم. تكلمنا أيديهم, their hands will speak. وتشهد أرجلهم, and their legs will witness. بما كانوا يكسبون, with what they used to do. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم, and if we wanted, لطمسنا, tamas is to remove, yeah, or to poke out. So we would have poked out their eyes, or completely sealed off their eyes and removed the ability for them to see. فَاسْتَبَقُوا الصِّرَاطَ فَأَنَّا يُبْصِرُونَ. So they would not be able to see the sirat, and how would they be able to see that? Meaning, if we wanted, we could have removed their eyesight, but we did not. We gave the disbelievers eyesight in this dunya to look and find the truth. But unfortunately, they still could not see. وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَمَسَخْنَا عَلَى مَكَانَتِهِمْ. And if we wanted, لَوْ نَشَاء, if we wanted, لَمَسَخْنَا. Masakh means to paralyze. Okay? We would have paralyzed them or stopped them. So, if they committed a sin, we would have stopped the person in that place. عَلَى مَكَانَتِهِمْ, meaning upon the place that they committed the sin. فَمَسْتَطَاعُوا مُضِيًّا, so they would not be able to move on, meaning move forward. وَلَا يَرْجِعُونَ, nor go back. Meaning if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to make a scene of us in this dunya, and to take us to account in this dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have paralyzed us in the spot where we did the sin. This is the power of Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to commit sins and then keep on moving and moving off. Yeah? وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ. And whoever we increase in their life, we will do the opposite to him in his physique. What is Allah saying here? وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ, whoever we give long life, right? نُنَكِّسُهُ, will do the opposite, fil khalq, in his creation. Meaning what? Meaning we're giving him long life, or we're giving him less fitness. We're giving him long life, or we're making him more older and weaker and frail. Okay? وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. So do they not understand? Meaning, even if you have long life, do you not see how you are eventually going to die? Because even as long as you're living, you're also getting weaker and more frail and more diseased, and you're eventually going to go towards your grave. So let not the long life fool you. Let not the fact that today the average lifespan of a Muslim, for example, is perhaps longer than the lifespan of our forefathers that lived, for example, during the time of the world wars, for example. At that time, the lifespan without penicillin, for example, without many of the medical advances, may have only been 45, 50 years. Now, perhaps with the medical advances, now we're 70, 80 years, right? They say now it's becoming 90 years in Japan, is the average lifespan. So let people not be fooled that whoever we increase their lives, that we are still making them weaker and frailer. Let them not ever be fooled to think that they are going to live forever, or that they are not going to be taken into account. أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ, don't they have sense? وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ. And note, now Allah Azza wa Jalla now moves on to talking about defense of the Prophet. Remember we said that this surah, Allah moves from talking about the Day of Judgment to talking about Rasulullah to talking about Allah and His oneness. Now He moves on to talking about Rasulullah, and He says, وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ. We have not taught him poetry. Meaning the Prophet was not a sha'ir. He was not taught poetry. وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ. And it does not befit a prophet of God to be a poet. Why not? Because poetry has a lot of false statements in it. Poetry can sometimes have mubalagha, which is exaggerations in it, right? And so it is not befitting on the Prophet to be a poet. وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ. We have not taught him poetry, and it does not befit him to know poetry or to be a poet. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ وَقُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ. It is nothing but a dhikr, a reminder, and a Qur'an, a book to be read, mubin, a manifest book that is meant to be read. So this Qur'an is called Qur'an because it's meant to be read, brothers and sisters. Not meant to be stuck up in the walls, put up on our homes, or a small printed Qur'an in our car so it protects our car. No, no, no. It's meant to be read. Qur'anun mubin, meaning a book that is meant to be read. لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا. In order to yunzir, to give warnings to the one who is alive. This is why this surah, this verse shows that this surah should not be read to the dead people. Okay? This is why, you know how people do Surah Yasin to the people who passed away. That's wrong. That's an innovation. It's a bid'ah. Because the Quran says here, within Surah Yasin, it says in this verse number 70, لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا. In order to warn the one who is hayy, the one who is alive. In one authentic hadith, the Prophet said in Bukhari, he said in authentic hadith, he said, the one who remembers Allah compared to the one who does not remember Allah is the example of a living corpse, living body to a dead corpse. Right? So if you remember Allah, that means you're alive. And if you don't remember Allah, it is as if you're dead even if you're alive. Right? So, لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا. So that you may warn the one who is alive or the one who remembers Allah. وَيُحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. And so that it may be a qawl that is established on the kafirin. وَيُحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ, meaning so that the punishment, the statement of punishment may be affirmed upon the disbelievers. وَيُحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ means, وَيُحِقُّ meaning it is affirmed, the qawl, the statement. What statement? The statement of punishment has become affirmed upon the disbelievers. لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا وَيُحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا خَلَقْنَا لَهُمْ. Have they not seen? أَوَلَمْ, have they not seen? يَرَوْا, have they not seen? أَنَّا خَلَقْنَا, that we have created, لَهُمْ, for them, مِمَّا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِينَا, from what our hands have produced. So what Allah's hands have produced, what is it? أَنْعَامًا. An'am meaning cattle. فَهُمْ لَهَا مَالِكُونَ. So they are now possessing or in control of the cattle. So now Allah Azza wa Jal gives the example of cattle and how cattle is a sign for us. Yeah? Why is it a sign? Just look and see the next few verses how the cattle are a sign for us. Have you not seen how Allah Azza wa Jal have created the cattle for us? And so we are in possession of the cattle. وَظَلَّلْنَاهَا. ظَلَّلْنَاهَا meaning we have made them obedient to you. لَهُمْ, for them. فَمِنْهَا رَكُوبُهُمْ وَمِنْهَا يَأْكُلُونَ. So some of them we ride and some of them we eat from their meat and we eat from their milk. Correct? So some of these cattle, like horses, we ride, and others, for example, we eat their meat and their milk. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ. And for them, meaning for human beings, from the cattle are manafi', are numerous blessings. وَمَشَارِبْ, and lots of drink, which is from their laban, from their milk. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Are they not thankful to Allah for giving me for Allah giving us cattle? Ikhwani, this verse has been used by the scholars of Islam to allow transplants from cattle. So if we take, for example, bones of cattle because of a child was born without a leg, for example, we can take a sheep, we can break the bones, we can take the bone and transplant into the child, for example, okay? Or take a cow valve. This is very common. If a child is born without a valve or has a defective valve, we can take a cow heart valve and put it into the child. We do this in medicine. Yeah, it's amazing. Why? Because they've been created for us. They have been made for us. So we can do with them what we want as long as it is for our benefit. Right? طيب. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ وَمَشَارِبْ. And for them is many, many blessings. Like what? Like their fur, like their leather, for example. Yeah? So many blessings from the cattle. وَمَشَارِبْ, and drinks. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So do they not thank me because of these blessings of cattle? وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ آلِهَةً. And they have taken other gods other than Allah as their deity of worship. لَعَلَّهُمْ يُنصَرُونَ, so that perhaps they think that they may be helped. لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ نَصْرَهُمْ, they will not ever be able to help them. وَلَهُمْ جُنْدٌ مُحْضَرُونَ. And this is a very important verse. In this verse, verse 75, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is that these idols will never be able to help them when they ask them for help. But on top of it, the disbelievers, they have become armies in defense of the idols. Isn't that true? Like for example, crusaders. The crusaders, they crusaded in the name of Christ. Christ cannot help them. He is a human being. He cannot help them, and on top of that, they actually waged war in the name of Christ. Today, for example, in India, we have something called Shiv Sena. What is Shiv Sena? Shiv Sena is an army of Shiva, they call it, right? Army of Shiva. Shiva is one of the three gods. So if you think Trinity is only Christians have Trinity, no, even Hindus have Trinity. So they've got the Brahma, they've got Krishna, and they've got Shiva. Okay? Brahma is the god of creation, Krishna is the god of sustenance and produce, and Shiva is the god of destruction. Okay? So Shiv Sena are the army of Shiva. The army of Shiv, the one who will wage war in the name of Shiva. SubhanAllah, so Shiva cannot help them, but on top of that, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying that their love for these gods have become so extreme that they have even become armies for them. Right? Armies for them. So subhanAllah, yani, human beings, look at how deceived they have become. Not only are their gods not answering them when they ask them, but they actually go to the aid of their gods. And I still remember something really funny and interesting. And it's in the hadith. In the hadith, the Sahaba said, and as the Sahaba were sitting once together, this is many years after the death of Rasulullah, they're remembering the days of the past when they were mushrikeen. And they said, we were so stupid, right? One of the Sahaba said, we were so stupid about, worshipping other gods that we used to, when we had dates, we used to make an idol with the dates. When we got hungry, we used to eat the dates. Okay? When they got hungry, they ate the dates. But when they had enough dates, they would make idols with the dates. This is subhanAllah. I still remember when I was in Madras, in Chennai. I went there for some filming. When I was there, it was really funny. I was in a hotel and it was sunrise. So I opened the curtains up to let a little bit of sun out. And then one of the things in Madras is that there are idols on every single road. On every road, as you take a U-turn, like an island in the middle of the road, there are idols there, everywhere. Everywhere idols. Everywhere idols. I've not seen more idols than I've seen in Chennai. So in one of the roundabouts, there was an idol, and I was looking from the hotel, and they had put all these bananas and mangoes and so many other beautiful fruits in front of the idol, right? So there was this beggar who was crossing the road. I was looking at the beggar, I was like, man, poor guy, look at this beggar. The idol has more food than the beggar. But the beggar was amazing. What he did was he was walking, and as he walked, and he was coming close to the idol, he was trying to not look at the idol from the side, and suddenly as he was walking, he quickly grabbed down and picked up one of the fruits and started walking. And I thought that was the most funniest thing, because the idol could not stop his food from being stolen. Right? And before I knew it, I went for breakfast and I came back and the poor idol had no more food in front of him. So you feel sorry for these idols, So subhanAllah, and that's why these guys are now an army for them. Allahumma musta'an. طيب. لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. They cannot help them, but on top of that, they are an army for them. فلا يحزنك قولهم. So let their statement not make you hazeen, meaning don't let their statement or that we will not worship Allah, we will only worship Lat and Uzza and Manat and other idols. Don't let this do huzn to you, meaning make you sad. فَلَا يَحْزُنْكَ قَوْلُهُمْ إِنَّا نَعْلَمُ. Verily we know مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. We know every single thing that they're doing secretly or in public. أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الْإِنسَانَ. Has insan not seen أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ, that we have created him from nutfa, from a despicable fluid that came out of the human being, from which a clot of blood, the nutfa, which is a clot of blood, happened from the discharge of the male and the female. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. And we created you from this despicable fluid, and now you are argumentative standing in front of me. Look how powerful this verse is. Unbelievable. You know, it's like we say to our children. I still remember when I was bad to my parents, a'udhu billah, or arrogant. I washed your little bum when you were little. You used to walk around in diapers, and now you are arguing in front of me? Does that make sense? Right? Don't you say that sometimes to your children who have grown up, and then they know their rights now, suddenly their wings have opened up and they're about to fly away from the house? It's like, you're the one. I used to grab you like this, and now you are standing in front of me arguing. But look, this is in between parents and a child. Compare that to Allah Azza wa Jal now, right? SubhanAllah, we created you from this despicable fluid, and now you argue against me? SubhanAllah, what a shame, wallahi. What a shame. This is why one of the biggest reasons that people become kuffar, okay, or become disbelievers, is because they think too high of themselves, or because they've forgotten where they came from. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran that the only time they forget Allah is when they forget themselves. Meaning, Nasullaha fa'ansahum anfusahum. Yeah? They have forgotten Allah, so Allah has forgotten, Allah has made them forget where they actually came from. So if you forget that you came from this despicable fluid of nutfa, right? This despicable fluid that you wash off from your bodies. If you forget where you came from this private part, despicable fluid, that's when you forget how insignificant you are compared to Allah Azza wa Jalla. I mean, look at this example. The Prophet said, the example of this earth compared to the kursi of Allah, the footstool of Allah, is like the example of a small ring thrown into a massive desert. Example of the kursi of Allah compared to the throne of Allah is like the example of another small ring thrown into another big desert. And that is just the throne of Allah. Can you imagine now Allah Himself? How insignificant are we? Now we, in comparison to this earth, is even less than a ring thrown into a desert, isn't it? So subhanAllah, can you imagine therefore how insignificant we are compared to Allah Azza wa Jalla? أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الْإِنسَانَ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ. Has insan not seen that we have created him from nutfa, from this concealed clot of blood? فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. So how an arrogant debater is he? Khasim is the one who debates. Mubin, manifest debater. فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. It is as if now he is an arrogant debater. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا. And he has put forward, daraba meaning put forward, lana for us, mathal, an example. Meaning he said, oh, God is just like so and so. Oh, Jesus Christ is like God. So astaghfirullah, this is daraba lana mathal. And he has put an example for my lordship. وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ. And he has forgotten where he came from. He's forgotten where he was created from. قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. Who will recreate this idham, this bone, when it is dust? Meaning what? Meaning here Allah Azza wa Jalla is talking about ضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ, meaning that mankind, when he thinks that things cannot be resurrected, that is only because he's thinking Allah is like creation. He's thinking Allah is like human beings who cannot put life back into the dead after it has become dust. Yes, human beings cannot recreate the dead from dust, but that is not Allah. Allah is different. So this is where daraba lana mathal, meaning He has made me, Allah is saying daraba lana mathal, He has made an example of me, meaning He has made me like a human being who is incompetent, unable to put life back into the dead after it has become dust. But I am God. I am the one who created him when he was nothing. So why can I not put life back into the dead after it has become dust? Does that make sense? Right. So the main reason why the Quraysh thought Allah could not give life back to dead is because they thought Allah's power is as insignificant or limited as is the limited power of human beings. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ. And he forgot his own creation, meaning he forgot that we created him from nothing. So he forgot that my power is so much that I can recreate from nothing. Why does he think that I cannot recreate now this dirt into a human being? قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا. Say to them, yuhiha, meaning Allah will give life back to it. الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. The one who has given life to it the very first time. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. And he is most knowledgeable about all his creation. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا. Ya Ikhwani, this is very important verse, this one. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. And he is most knowledgeable about all his creation. It's very interesting. I want to tell you something which I remember reading in one of the books. In one of the books it was reported that there was a man by the name of Bishr al-Murisi. Bishr al-Murisi was a very deviant man. He lived around the 100-200 years after the Prophet's death. And he was one of the ones who claimed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no attributes. Allah, you cannot see Allah. Allah is not in the heavens. Allah cannot be seen. Allah doesn't have a face. Allah, and he is the one who denied every attribute from Allah. He is neither up, neither down, neither in, neither out. He was like that. This is Bishr Murisi. Very deviant man. One of the things Bishr Murisi did, and also this is reported about Jahm bin Safwan as well. Jahm bin Safwan was also one of the tyrants, one of the leaders of misguidance, who lived at the time of Imam Ahmed and others. And Jahm bin Safwan, what he said was, he said, Allah doesn't create, I can create. So he said, what's the proof I can create? So he said, give me give me a jar. So they got him a jar and he put inside it some dirt, and then he closed the jar, right? And then he said, after a week, bring the jar out. So he brought the jar out, and then he said, look, there are worms now in the jar. Okay? There are worms in the jar. Okay? So he said, I created the worms. So he said, what? I created the worms. Because I closed the jar, you saw there was nothing in it. I created the worms. So people were flabbergasted. They didn't know how to debate him. They knew that, of course, he didn't do it. Allah did it, but they could not debate him. So there was a little boy, and this is narrated by Imam al-Razi rahimahullah, also reported in the Sharh of At-Tahawiyya. This story is narrated, that this is an actual incident that happened. There was a little boy there, okay, a little boy who was there in that group. And the little boy said, okay, if you created it, tell us how many worms there are. That's it. He just said, how many worms did you create? There you go. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرْ. So the one who disbelieved was destroyed. This is why Allah says, وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. And He is aware of every single creation of His. That's how He can bring it back, because He knows how many He created. He knows where they are. Even if they are inside a big rock, as we took in Surah Luqman, if they're stuck inside a big rock, like a fossil, Allah will bring it out on the Day of Judgment. Right? That's where they find fossils these days, right? Inside big rocks. So Allah will bring it out, ikhwani. Naam. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمْ مِنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا. The one who has made for you from the green trees. الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ. Shajar means tree, akhdar meaning green. The one, الَّذِي جَعَلَ, that who has made lakum for you, مِنَ الشَّجَرِ, from the tree that is akhdar, that is green, nara, fire. Meaning from this wet tree that has water inside it, Allah has made fire for you. So can you not see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from something, He can give something else, rise to something else. From water, He can give rise to fire, meaning from a wet tree, He can give rise to fire. Why can He not give life from something that is dead? That's what He's trying to say. Does that make sense? Because water and fire are opposites, correct? But from a green tree that is watery, He gives you fire, the opposite. Why can He not give you life from something that which is dead, which is soil and sand? Now, الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا فَإِذَا أَنْتُم مِّنْهُ تُوقِدُونَ. And now here you go, you light your fires from these two green trees. أَوَلَيْسَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَوَاتِ. Is it not possible that the one who has created the heavens, as-samawat, the heavens, wal-ard, and the earth, biqadirin, that he has the ability, ala an yakhluqa mithlahum, that he can recreate something like it. The one who has created the heavens and the earth, why can he not recreate the heavens and the earth, or something less than it, which is human beings? Bala, bala meaning of a surety he can. وَهُوَ الْخَلَّاقُ الْعَلِيمُ, he is the khallaq, he is the most worthy creator, al-alim, the one who is most knowledgeable about how to do it. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ, verily his affair, amruhu, his command, his affair, إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا, if he wants something, أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ, that he simply says to it, kun fayakun, be, and it is. How, this, it is unbelievable power. Be, and it is. The example of Isa was kun fayakun. The example of Adam, kun fayakun. Be, and it is. This is how powerful Allah Azza wa Jal is, that He simply says be, and it will become. Subhanallah. Innama amruhu, rather His power. إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا, if He wants something, أَن يَقُولَ, that He should simply say, be, and it is, فَيَكُونَ, so it will be. فَسُبْحَانَ الَّذِي, so glory be to Allah, بِيَدِهِ مَلَكُوتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ, in His hands is malakut. Malakut meaning the ownership, right? Or the kingship of every single thing. Kulli shay, of every single thing. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, and to Him is your return on the day of judgment. Ya Khoti, wallahi, when I read verses like this, and I read surahs like this, I'm filled with amazement at the power of Allah. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to Allah that we worship such a perfect God. We do not worship a God that has deficiencies. Because I cannot, for the love of God, I cannot ever, after reading the Quran, go back to shirk. Because how can you worship a God? Every other God in every other religion is deficient. And if you read about Jesus Christ in the Bible, you will hear about how He got angry, and how He went to the toilet, and how He ate food, and how He prayed to His own God. And you read about all other gods. For example, you read about the gods of the Romans, how they fought each other, how had love, or the gods of the Christians, or the gods of the Greeks, or the gods of, for example, the Hindus. You read about it. Or you read about the gods of the Zoroastrians, Ahriman and Ahura Mazda, always fighting each other. And subhanAllah, you hear deficiencies. But our God, the description of Islam about Allah Azza wa Jal is perfect in every way. Can you imagine how powerful He is when He says kun fayakun? That He doesn't have to lift a limb. You know what you know what I'm trying to say? We have to do so much to do something. But Allah simply says be, and it is. So Ikhwani, this is a very, very amazing description of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is why a person will truly who will truly taste Iman in his heart when he hates to go back to shirk, just like he hates to be thrown into the fire. And anyone who reads the Quran, the first thing, the most important thing that will become firm in his heart is Tawheed. Yeah? Because that is the most important thing. Ibn Qayyim says, the Quran, Surah Yasin, and other verses in the Quran establishes Tawheed of Allah in our heart in 4 ways. 4 ways. What are the 4 ways? Number 1, it tells us about Allah, who Allah is, what are His attributes, what are His signs. Yeah? So the first one is the attributes of Allah, what His names are, what His qualities are, right? These are the first way Allah tells us about Tawheed. The second one is Allah tells us the story of the people who obeyed Tawheed, right? The stories of the people like the prophets of God who called to Tawheed, right? So this is all part of Tawheed, right? Number 3, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us about the day of judgment and the punishment of those people who disbelieved in Tawheed. Yeah, punishment at the end of those people who disbelieved in Tawheed. And lastly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about His rulings and commands, which are the exemplification of Tawheed. If we truly obey Allah and fear Allah, then we should live up to these commands like Allah has told us in the Quran. So these are the 4 ways in which Allah Azza wa Jal tells us about Tawheed. This is why the whole Quran is about Tawheed. The whole Quran is about the oneness of Allah, especially this surah, Surah Yasin, is all about the sanctity, the might, majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, with Allah's will, we will take Surah Safat, which is the very next surah. Inshallah, Surah Safat is very beautiful, very sweet. There's lots of stories of the prophets of God. So I wanted to take this opportunity to actually go through the stories of some of the prophets of God, like Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, Shu'aib, many others, etc. And inshallah, we will do it through this story with this Surah As-Safat, inshallah. So tomorrow, 6 p.m., Kuala Lumpur time. Don't be late. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.